We spend so long hiring the right people into our own business, and then we're prepared to sign a partner after one 30-minute meeting.
Don't do too much too soon. That's what I took away from that one.
We were doing the entire sales process still, and then giving them a ton of margin just to put it on their paper effectively.
I think there's a devil's advocate position, that we've all experienced of like just death by lunch and learn, Welcome back to Partnerships Unlocked, where we have fast, tactical conversations with some of the best partnership leaders in the game today. And today, I'm excited to have a very good friend and an incredible partnerships operator, Eleanor Thompson from Branchworks, here with me today. Elle, can you introduce yourself? Tell folks a little bit about how you got here.
Thank you very much. Very excited to be here. Yes, so I'm based in London and I have worked in partnerships my entire career, predominantly in the tech space. I have worked in resellers, managing tech vendors. I've worked at the likes of Microsoft, managing smaller partners from there, SIs, MSPs, you name it. So I've worked with a breadth and depth of partner types, and then set up this consultancy 3 years ago to help predominantly Series A to C SaaS companies to build their partner programs and go to market effectively with partners.
Awesome. So let's just jump right into the questions. I'm sure the listeners are used to them. So we're going to start with an easy one, which is what's a unlock or tactic that you've learned over your career in partnerships that has just worked really, really well for you, maybe multiple times. Why do you believe it worked, and what did you learn?
So one of the things that I always recommend my clients do, and something that I started to do a little bit too late in my career, if I'm honest. But you know that saying when it comes to hiring people where it says hire slow and fire fast? I think that we should be doing that with partners. And so often we forget that partners are an extension of our business, an extension of our teams. We spend so long hiring the right people into our own business, and then we're prepared to sign a partner after one 30-minute meeting. And so for me, the thing that I recommend and implement in everyone that I work with is really effective discovery. Like really understanding what your ideal partner profile is and asking questions that align with that in your discovery process. So you might have an initial discovery call. You're going to have questions in there that allow you to see if the partner is a good fit for you. And then you're going to ask some questions that really get to understand if, they're aligned with you as well, and give them the opportunity to do the same. Have mutual demonstrations. Don't just chuck your product at them. Have them present to you as well. Like, what's their go-to-market strategy? Who did they work with? What's their speciality? We miss so much of this. We just get on a call, 30 minutes, we get so excited and we're like, let's sign a contract now. And it doesn't work. And then you have a load of partners that aren't performing.
Why do you think that is, that folks have this tendency to just get excited and I want to sign the contract, I want to sign the partner?
I can think of two things that have come up for me. So one, early in my career, I was targeted on signing partners. I actually had a monetary goal attached to signing partners. And it's quite common, I guess, for earlier stage companies, or if you're hiring a new person in region, one of their ramp targets would be to sign a certain number of partners. I don't recommend it at all, because I think that it incentivizes people to just sign maybe the wrong type of partner. Not always, but maybe the wrong type. And then I think that we can underestimate the importance of having the right partners and the risk of having the wrong ones. We think, oh, it's okay. It's just a quick referral agreement. It's fine. But we forget that they're going to put your logo on their website, that they are going to speak about you at conferences, on events. And if they're not educated, if they're not aligned, if they don't represent your values effectively, if they don't have the right team to be an extension of yours, that's a huge risk to your business. It's okay if it's one. If you multiply that by 20, 30, there is so many people out there in the market that are misrepresenting you, maybe. And that is just too big of a risk for me.
No, I mean, that's a great call out. I definitely have been in situations where we were measured on kind of like number of partners and just signing new partners. And right, you have executives and board members that all they know is sales and marketing. And in sales and marketing, all you do is you fill the funnel. Like it just doesn't matter. Just stuff more in the top, and eventually something will come out the bottom theoretically. And as we both know, that's not how it works with partners. Have you ever had to have a tough conversation in terms of like, or many tough conversations in terms of the firing fast? And kind of what did you learn about how to do that well?
Yes, I have. I've had to fire a couple of partners. Say fire a couple of partners, it makes me sound horrible, but I've had to break ties with a couple of partners, I would say, that showed a real misalignment of values, I'd say. Those are rare. I've had to have very few conversations like that, but I have had to do that, where we've had to go to a partner and say, look, there's a real misalignment of values. This partnership isn't going to work, and kind of not give it an option, and give them notice and cancel their contract. The way in which I would do it with a client is if I find that if I come in and someone says, we've got a lot of partners that aren't right for us, then what I would typically do at that point is an update to their partner program that requires recontracting of sorts, if we can. If they've got maybe, say, 50 partners, less than 100 partners, and they're early on, then at that point you can do a refresh and a bit of a reset and invite the partners that are suited to your new partner program onto it, and kind of slowly let the rest go and kind of say to them, look, this partnership hasn't been going anywhere. We are migrating to a new partner program. We're happy to stay in touch. And if there is any business that we can do together in future, then let's do that. So that would be a softer way of doing it, is kind of doing a bit of a launch of something and just not inviting those partners to join it.
The party has moved and you do not get the new location.
Yeah, it's a
No,
bit of a slow ghost.
that's the slow ghost is what I want people to take away from this. Um, that's fair. No, that's totally fair. And so, what about the flip side of it? What about something that you tried that really didn't work well? You had all of the best goals for it and hopes, but it just kind of blew up in your face. And what did you learn from that one? Like, this is a much more fun one. I like this question a lot more because I think we've all had a lot more failures than successes. And sometimes the failures are much less obvious until they blow up in your face. So, what is just a cautionary tale you can share with the audience, and a cautionary
I mean,
learning?
I've made so many mistakes in my time. I've made the mistake of signing so many of the wrong partners. I've done the opposite of what I've just recommended before. That's kind of why I learned to do that. I think the one thing I learned is about partner models, and I tried to launch a resale motion way too early. I tried to launch a resale motion in an organization where referral had worked, and I tried to do something new a little bit too quickly. I was like, okay, we've got some referral partners that's working. Let's now do resale. And, a couple of people had asked for it. But the trouble is that we didn't have a training and certification program. We didn't have a really, really good way to educate these partners. So we were letting all of these partners resell our offering for higher margins, but we were doing the entire process. So because we didn't have good training and education, we couldn't actually equip the partners to go and resell. So we were doing the entire sales process still, and then giving them a ton of margin just to put it on their paper effectively.
Nice.
And it then doesn't work, because then they've got the customer ongoing. They manage the entire customer cycle. Quite often they're doing first line support. So again, like, it's such a risk to do that. I always tread lightly with resale now. It's kind of an earned right in a lot of the programs that I build. You start on referral. Once you've done a few deals, then you can apply to become a reseller, if I'm gonna put resale motion in there. But for me, it was just a mess. I had to do the whole resetting and removing resale from the program at that time, and relaunch later on when we actually had a training and certification program.
Oof. That is, yeah. That's a tough one. I definitely have been in the position where they were like, we want this kind of program and this kind of program and this kind of program, and we didn't have any of the programs. And yeah, it's impossible, especially with resell too. It's such a, I think very few people, unless you've actually built a reseller program, understand just the level of effort involved in doing so, like internally and externally. Like it's a massive undertaking.
Yeah. Yeah, people think that it's just a different way to transact. They think that's all that there is to it. It's, oh, we'll refer or we'll resell. Not really understanding that there is so much more that goes behind these models. It's not just a how they transact kind of thing. No, it's an entire motion. It changes how the sales teams operate with the partners. It changes how you do pricing. It changes how you do payouts. Like there's so much that it changes. And yeah, if you're not ready for it, then it can be a mess.
Yeah, it's an insane undertaking. So don't do too much too soon. That's what I took away from that one. And that was a very, very good one. Awesome. Well, then we usually like to close it out with two or three quick hits of just, unlocks that you wish you knew earlier in your partnership's career because it would have saved you some trouble or made you more successful.
Yep. One of the okay, so there's a couple of things, but they're all along the same thread of involving sales teams. So when it comes to your own internal sales team, I like to get partners to come and present to the sales team because quite often I find that we present to the partners all the time. Like if I'm a tech company, for example, very likely that I'm going to be presenting to SIs, resellers, whoever I've got in my partner ecosystem, and then our sales team, we're asking them to take potential deals to partners as well at some point, right? Because we don't want it to all be one way, but they don't know what the partners are great at. We could build a partner directory that gives them some insight to that, but otherwise they're just going to take it to the partner that they know the best. So I always invite the partners to come and present to our sales team and do a bit of a partner showcase where they get 10 minutes to pitch to our sales team essentially and say like, here's what we're great at, here's who we've worked with before, and things like that can work really well. Now it depends on the size of your partner ecosystem as to what's possible there, but allowing your partners to come and present to your sales team as well as you presenting to theirs, I think is really, really valuable. And then the other thing I would say is understand how your partners' sales teams are incentivized. You'll know this, like so often and I know that, you do a lot of work on actually incentivizing the people on the other end as well, rather than just the company, right? Because so often we design these programs and we chuck referral fees back to the company. And the individual that we are actually asking to work on the opportunity is not necessarily getting rewarded for what they're doing. So finding ways to support and reward them and understanding how they're rewarded, I think is super important. Don't just assume that your referral fee is going to the person on the other end of the call. It's very likely going to the business.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a few thoughts and questions on that, which is one, when you're doing these kind of demos for each other's teams, right? I think there's a devil's advocate position, that we've all experienced of like just death by lunch and learn, you
Yeah.
know? And like if your sales team, if you're just letting everybody go do a lunch and learn for your team, like are they digesting any of it? Are they committing any of it to memory? Are they going to be able to do anything with this information in the future? So how do you how do you qualify and filter who you're going to do these for, who's going to do them for you, and on top of that, like what's the follow up? Because I think that's a critical piece of it too. Is if you just show up, do a lunch and learn, buy them some pizza, send them a $5 Starbucks gift card, and then you disappear, you've basically gone in one ear and out the other, most likely. So what do you have any process around that to help actually make it stick?
Yeah, so I actually put it as a benefit in some of the partner programs. So I put it as a higher tier benefit. If you're a higher tier benefit, you have the opportunity to come and I call it a partner showcase. You have the opportunity to come and join the partner showcase with our teams. I make it super quick. I block out an hour for the sales team. Each partner gets 10 minutes each to present, 5 minutes to
Oh,
ask questions, and then I kick them off the call. So we do 4 partners in 1 hour. And I say to the partners, you've got 10 minutes. If you come to that call and say that you can do everything, no one will listen to you. You have to come and say, we are amazing at this. We've worked with this customer on this and this. Here's why you should listen out for us in an opportunity, and here's what you should listen for. And I get partners to go through their decks with me before they get to the sales team. If they come to the sales team partner showcase and they have a boring presentation, they have not niched, they have not got any stories, they haven't bullet pointed it, they're not joining. Like, I qualify it before it even gets to the sales team. And then follow up is ordinarily, like, normally they'll have a question or something from a particular person, and then I'll match them up rather than just send 4 decks to every single person after.
that is awesome. That was the best answer I could have possibly hoped for that. And then the other question I had on what you said. Oh no, it wasn't a question. It was just a thought that yes, incentivize the client-facing team members at your partner. Like that's why we built it into the platform. Everyone's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, we're just going to send the business back something that the business doesn't care about. Yet the people with the client relationships who actually would be motivated by some sort of a financial incentivization, you're just totally ignoring and just giving either tapping them on the shoulder or just patting them on the back. But somehow they're normally cut out of the entire process, which is crazy.
Yeah, it works so well and is so cost effective. Like, people want to be rewarded on top of their pay. Like, they'll get a commission every now and again, but if you can send them some vouchers or a reward or something, like, it really like, it used to be big back in the day. I mean, I used to work at a VAR, so I used to get trips and gifts and all kinds of stuff, which was amazing from vendors. And we were a bit overwhelmed. You didn't kind of know where it was coming from, but it's kind of lost. Like, people have lost the art of doing that, and I think it's so important to go back to. So I was really glad when you built it into the platform, because it's really, really valuable and so cost effective. And the fact that it's in the platform means that there's a process there for it as well, and it makes it easy for companies to execute.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. And I agree. And normally we'd be done with the conversation, but you and I were chatting about something before we started recording that honestly I would love to touch on as another unlock that you've already shared, but we just weren't recording yet, which is process. Just in general, process. I know you're a very big fan of it. I'm a very big fan of it. Would just love your take on the unlock that is the critical, unavoidable unlock that is process.
Yes, I am such a process driven person, and so often I hear companies say, like, oh no, we're just in the business of signing lots of partners right now. That's all we want. We just want to sign loads of partners, get loads of revenue, and then we'll add process. And that is not scalable. And it doesn't work that way. Like, having process early on is going to help you get the right partners in the door. It's going to help you resource them effectively. Like, even having the partner discovery and the partner onboarding, that's a process. Even if it's something as simple as having the questions that you ask your partners, the next steps for them as you go through, like, what does good onboarding look like, and how much resource do you allocate for each type of partner? Those are some processes you can put in really easily. But if you don't have any of those, it's just chaos, and then it takes a long time to fix later on, and it gets out of hand quicker than you can imagine, especially if you're starting your partnerships by having half a salesperson sign partnerships. I quite often see that, and it ends up you've got 50 partners signed, maybe they've got one deal each, because it's been run a little bit like a sales motion, and it takes some time to fix. So add process in early, and it's going to help you scale in the long run. That's why I work with earlier stage companies, because you build the right foundations. Oh, you're going to scale so much better.
Yep, I love that, and I couldn't agree more. It's people think that it's a luxury. It's the same reason I had trouble hiring partner ops every time I tried to
Yeah.
make it my first hire. Is it's a more complicated. People don't understand, and by people I mean like executives, C-suite. They don't understand the partnerships is more complicated as far as an operation, an emotion, and a relationship for that matter than sales or marketing or even customer success. It is
Yeah.
the most complicated one but it's not that hard to get right if you take a little bit of time and build the like at least minimum viable process at the beginning, and then just kind of like iterate. It doesn't have to be perfect, but like you have to have something. Like you have to treat you to your point, your partner onboarding and acquisition funnel like a process. It's like a customer acquisition and onboarding life cycle. You know exactly what your customer onboarding looks like, right? You know exactly what your customer acquisition funnel looks like. How are you going to expect a totally independent third party partner to just magically start producing for you without that? Like they care about what you're doing even less than your customer cares about what you're doing, and you still have to walk your customer through a handheld experience. So I love that we talked about that. I'm sure we could talk about process for a very long time, but everybody on the call would be asleep. But Elle, I really appreciate you hopping on and sharing some of your wisdom with the audience. Always a pleasure talking to you, and just look forward to the next conversation.
Thank you so much. This has been great.
Awesome.